Hello, my name is Maria Christine, and I'm tuning in today for another edition of the Rise Up series. So, my name's Maria. I'm an intuition and resilience mentor and supporting female leaders and helpers with moving into this age of soul led leadership. Now, with this conversation, oftentimes conversations around intuition, spirituality, soul, manifestation can focus on the love and light vibes, which, don't get me wrong, I love all the woo. But for those of us that are also the helpers, the healers, we are here to support humanity in raising the vibration, building a more just, beautiful, loving world. We can't ignore what's happening on the ground. And so through the Rise Up series, I'm talking to women, specifically women right here with me in Minnesota, where really the face of community standing up for our neighbors and rising is at the forefront. And so today I'm bringing on a fellow Minnesotan, Claire. And Claire, let's get this happening. But Claire and I are going to be talking about, we actually both are in the intuition, spirituality, manifestation realm, as well as in Minnesota, witnessing what's happening right now.
Mm-hmm.
And ironically, Claire and I are also both she's an SLP in the schools. I used to be an occupational therapist or former OT in a variety of different practice settings. So we both also bring this perspective of science, logic, whatever you want to call it. And it's from that grounded woo perspective that we're going to be talking today about how we're getting through these uncertain and shaky times. So Claire, welcome.
Thanks, Maria. I'm so looking forward to being here with you this afternoon and just sharing this time together. So thanks for connecting.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much, Claire. So Claire, would you tell the folks as we're tuning into this Instagram live, tell us a little bit more about where you're coming in from. I know
Mm-hmm.
you're also here in Minnesota. Um,
Mm-hmm.
there are a couple of different hats currently. What does that look like? And then we'll dive deeper into just like how you're navigating through this.
Yeah, sure thing. So I live in a little suburb right outside of St. Paul, Minnesota. And then I work full time. You are close. I'm not an SLP, I'm an audiologist, but we are like sister professions. We're like sister professions. So I work with kids with hearing loss in St. Paul. So that's where a lot of my heart is in that community. I've been there for 10 years. And then, wife, mom, and then so audiology is my work life. And then my life's work is really helping high performing women to basically get out of their own way, get
Yes.
tapped back in to themselves, to their intuition, and leading a life that is just so lit up. And that comes from being aligned with what you value and what you believe and not conforming to what you think you should be doing.
Yes. Yes. Oh my gosh. And we know we need more of that, right? Like
Yeah.
more women tuning in, getting out of their own way, aligning with what they came here to do.
Yeah.
And so, Claire, I'm going to weave the conversation in that direction because, like, that's where we're going, right? We're
Yeah,
going towards a world where more people are tuning in and waking up to themselves and their
for
desires.
sure.
But with that, you and I also both, we connected on this of like, we can't ignore also what's happening right now in the world, especially being so close to it. And so I want to practically speak to what is it looking like in your community? Like, how is that showing up right now? And like, speaking from the heart of, because I think the biggest thing is like, we're human. This is going to feel raw. This is sad, angry, grief, right? Like, so I just want to like normalize it's okay to have these emotions. But yeah, would you just share your
Yeah.
experience, Claire, of what it's been like?
And thank you, just to start off, thank you for just acknowledging all the heaviness that comes with it because I already feel it bubbling up, the lump in the throat. My eyes are, you know, welling up because all day, it's just like working with the communities and serving and just plugging away. And then when you finally get that moment to like take it in, and then you realize how this is so not normal, what we're living in.
Yeah.
Um, I'm a part of a lot of resistance here towards ICE. So what that means for me, I would say over 60 to 70% of my caseload are um, different families of color. And I say families because I do birth to three. So I work with a lot of families. They are inviting me into their homes. Like we do our visits every week. I'm in families' homes, like at their dining table, in their living room, meeting the grandparents. So it's so intimate.
Wow.
And I guess what we're seeing is the streets are a lot more quiet because people aren't coming out. We have a temporary online school for kids who families aren't feeling safe to go out. And this is also for American citizens. It's just if you have brown skin, there's
Yeah.
fear.
Yes. 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 And
Yeah.
again, I don't know about for you, like I've been sitting with that a lot this weekend of regardless of, I know there are a lot of narratives out there, and I know that there are a lot of well-meaning people, even here in Minnesota and other places, who I know it's like, well, no, if you're legal, you're safe, right? If you're not
No.
criminal,
Yeah.
you're safe. Like there's still that narrative of like, no, 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 you guys, you're all just hyping this up.
Oh
It's
my gosh.
you're the worst of the worst. That's when you gotta worry. And
Yeah.
like, I won't even take the
Yeah.
conversation in that direction, but I guess I just
I know.
want to point out and acknowledge that unfortunately, I know that's still a narrative, but the lived experience of people here in Minnesota, even if
Yes.
not in St. Paul, Minneapolis, but especially if you're in St. Paul, Minneapolis, the
Yeah.
fear is there,
Yep.
especially of these young families. Um, yeah, they're afraid to leave their homes and the racial profiling and what's happening. And so you're seeing that in the families that you work with, Claire. They've even, I
Yes.
mean, thank goodness, they've even, they have this option of temporary school right now, but also just think how much that disrupts the habit and routines of everybody, but at least it's an option.
I know, Maria, I'm such a look at the sunny side of things, and boy, I've been stretched. My faith has really been shaken harder than it's ever been,
Yeah.
to where life feels surreal. And through such hardships, because I tell you, as a mindset manifestation woman, I live in a lot of whimsy and I create it and I put it out there and I receive it. And that's when things are in flow, right?
Yeah.
So when
Yeah.
you are living around constant crisis, trauma, and I just want to go back to saying, if you're not here seeing it, like I have friends who live all over the world, but in different parts of the country, and they will just say, "How's it going?" And I'm like, I not well. Minnesotans are not okay. And I think it's very people aren't seeing it enough, like what's happening on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
kids who don't have parents because they've just been abducted, so they're by themselves, and then they're asking the teachers to be their temporary guardians. Again, coming back to the education system, we saw this during COVID, of like, how can our public schools carry the weight of this? We saw this 5, 6 years ago, and it feels like such a return of it,
Yeah.
but there's no illness. It's just that people are scared to leave their house, again, citizen or not, because they're just completely racial profiling, using such severe intimidation tactics and violence that no one is safe. It doesn't matter. Blonde hair, blue eyes. No one is really safe. So yeah, it's really shaken my own personal faith and everything. Because when we have these hardships, that's when our values come out and are extracted. And we're like, this is what's important. And having the courage to speak that, I mean, obviously never experienced anything like this before.
Yeah, no, I really, sometimes it kind of blows my mind that I'm having to have these conversations with people,
I
like, are
know.
we living in the twilight zone?
I know.
And with that, I want to point out even this piece about, and again, like you and I both like live in both realities of the real world and the intuition and spirituality manifestation world, which is amazing. But I think the biggest issue that like some of us then are seeing and coming into was that it's like the two were separate, right? I think there was a flavor of the intuition and spirituality industry or whatever you want to call it, that it kind of like veered off and it's doing its own thing. But then when real things happen in the world, like now, there are people who want to stay in light, love, and rainbows, and they maybe don't want to look at what's happening on the ground. Or we think about spirituality and intuition on an individual level. And you and I both know the power of healing beyond the fear, looking at the fear, shifting our belief system to manifest everything we want. Like you and I know that that's possible.
Yeah.
But how can that be possible? It's like yes and.
Yeah.
We're currently in a system where there is real valid fear.
Yeah.
Brown people, and honestly, quite frankly, in Minnesota and other places too, but like even now, peaceful protesters are being intimidated and followed home because of the systems that they're using. Because again, intimidation and fear is the point. They want to control. And so you have this case now where, yes, we can say light and love, and I just need to believe, but we also have to look at the very systems that are in place.
Yeah.
We have to look at unfortunately, like with the people that are in power, we can't ignore what's happening on the ground. And so I think there's like this more, I don't know, this emergence of people where, yes, we're here to build out a new, more loving way. And we also need to bear witness to what's happening on the ground right now.
Yeah. That's so true, Maria, holding the dualities of it and, not using any spiritual bypassing here, that we cannot neglect what's in front of our eyes and honoring what we're going through. And it's pure hell. I mean, pure, just the most traumatic things ever, right? And I'm using hope as such an active practice. And when I say that, I mean, I hear whistles like in my sleep. Like we're using whistles to, alert when ICE is in neighborhoods. Like, when you have a newborn and you hear them cry and you just like always hear them cry. It's like that. Yes. I'm like hallucinating whistles and just like always looking at vehicles and just I'm usually not a vigilant person.
Yeah.
And I have been trained to be so hyper vigilant about cars, my surroundings, So it's really just shifted how I'm seeing my reality, the lens through which my world is now currently, despite all of my tools and practices, right?
Yes.
I'm doing my energetic shielding meditations and I'm doing all of that and I'm sending prayers and positive energy and all of that. And acknowledging that I'm not in a space where I can talk about, manifesting abundance and things. That's not aligned with my reality right now.
No. And I really want to like hold space for that with you, Claire.
Yeah.
Because truly, I think what I'm feeling called to say is like intuition, spirituality, manifestation. It's really a remembering, right? That we're a soul having a human experience. It's a practice that we live out, yes, but it's going to very much change based on the actual circumstances on the ground.
Right.
Almost like, I don't know, I don't love using a battle analogy maybe, but it's kind of the best thing that I'm coming from right now, which is like a commander or a general who's been trained in battle. They know all of their tactical skills. They know their leadership skills. That's going to look very different if they're training in a safe location with their team and what that looks like in practice versus if they are literally in the battlefield, on the ground, with their men and their team or whatever. Those skills and the skill sets that they have, it's not going to be the same if it's a good time or if they're in like react mode. Like we have to like hands on deck mode. And so I just want to acknowledge that, like, of course
I like that.
look the same. I know you're
Yeah.
the same player. I know you've got the same access to your skills and your tools.
Yeah.
You're in the battlefield now. And honestly,
Yeah.
even closer than I am, like it's different even in Rochester,
Right.
Minnesota, than where Claire is. So I just want to say, like, Claire, from someone who I feel like I'm saying to you, to someone who's on the front lines, thank you. Thank you for the level of like what you're needing to do and step up for humanity and your
Mm-hmm.
right now. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we all are playing different roles in this. And so just sending you so much love because
I feel it, Maria. I sincerely do. I feel so much love from you, and I so welcome and receive it. And I tell you, I think all of us do, right? Like this is the point at which putting it out there and just sharing it, saying it, giving it, because everybody needs it on so many levels right now, you
yeah.
know? It's so needed. And, I'm also someone who's like, what's the lesson? What's the lesson here? And this is like far bigger. I mean, this is going to be multiple generations of lessons, right? The trauma that's happening here, someone was sharing something with me like, even if ICE left today, the impact of the trauma is going to be generations long in the lineage here. Like, that's already been done. And my mind hadn't even gotten that far ahead yet because I'm so like just responding and like my nervous system is up here and I'm just constantly like, what can I do now? What can I do now? Now. And I'm like, oh my God, right. It's already been, people have been so negatively impacted just by what they've witnessed or heard or experienced.
And even like I just think no matter how close you are to ICE presence right now, that lived experience of fear in the body,
Yeah.
either as someone who's a protester and standing up right now, or just for someone who's just living in brown skin right now, just that fear and intimidation that like you're being, I hate using this word, but like being hunted,
Yeah.
being sought after, or whatever that word is, you don't unforget that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I want to point out too, especially because I know like you're in it, and even I'm in it, but I'm at a different vantage point too. Is like, but I think that's why more of us are waking up to our healing abilities, waking up to all these different other gifts and skill sets that we have. Because I know it won't be easy, but I know that as we get through this and as we move through this, more people, like we have new tools to
Mm-hmm.
support people in healing this on a collective level.
Mm-hmm.
And I say that without wanting to also disregard, or not meaning to also disregard, like the very lived experience of trauma that also is happening at this
Right.
moment.
Right. And again, both, right? It's like we this is happening, and then what can we do after this to I mean, this is, and then with the release of the files over the weekend, it's, our whole system is so, there's such a, not even fracture, huge gaping void, right? And
Broken.
I tell you, so much has been caused this division, right? And I do sincerely believe that we have a lot more in common than what media wants to portray. And I do think people are coming around and using their voice, because we're not at the place right now where we can just watch and not say anything. And that can be really little things like, okay, if you're not on social media or you don't share on and create on social media, even if you're like at the water cooler and someone says something, that you can just tell them, no, that's not right,
Yeah.
or whatever script in people's own language that they feel comfortable delivering. But everybody should be using their voice right now.
Yes. Yes. Using your voice, speak up, find a role to play in this. Right? Like
Mm-hmm.
that, whether that's from being an observer, being someone who's supporting families, being someone who's organizing, being someone who's donating, everybody plays a different role.
Calling your senators, whatever. Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I just want to thank you for having this conversation. I want to keep having more of these conversations. Okay. Like this isn't just the beginning of like the Rise Up series. Just interviewing real people on the ground. Like, how are we getting through this? How do we also continue to maintain a semblance of hope? Because we do know brighter days are coming. If you're watching the replay or live of this, just sending Claire and the people that are on the ground and the team and the families that are in this, send them so much love. It truly does make a difference and it matters.
Mm-hmm.
Claire, thank you so much for hopping on today.
My pleasure. This has been lovely. Thanks for all that you're putting out there and continuing to use your voice, because people are watching, people are listening, and any little sliver or glimmer of hope that we can get from one another is enough to carry us through that day, right?
Yes.
And that's what we need, is to not be recruited by any of the darkness, that we need to stay as high as we can.
Yes. 100%. 100%.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you,
So
Claire.
much love, Maria.
All right. Awesome. Thanks for
Be
connecting.
well,
Bye.
friend.
You too.